The encounter the morning drizzle had turned into a proper downpour by the time Olivia Bennet tied her crisp apron around her waist at Cliffside Cafe. Located in Kensington, London's most affluent neighborhood, the cafe was known for its imported, single-origin beans, hand-painted china, and the distinguished clientele it attracted. Parliament members, executives, and occasional celebrities frequented the establishment, making it as much a status symbol as a place to enjoy exceptional coffee. Olivia had worked at Cliffside for just over 3 months, and she wore her position like a badge of honor. At 25, with an art history degree and mounting student loans, landing this job had felt like stepping into a world she'd previously only observed from afar. She took pride in memorizing regular customers' orders and adopted the refined mannerisms that matched the cafe's elegant ambience. "Morning rush should be lighter with this weather," remarked Jasmine, the senior barista, as she calibrated the espresso machine. "Though Lady Pennington will still come for her daily cortado, rain or shine." Olivia nodded, arranging fresh pastries. "In the display case, the regulars are creatures of habit. I've already prepared Mr. Harrison's table with the Financial Times." The bell above the door chimed, and both women looked up, expecting to see one of their usual patrons shaking raindrops from an expensive umbrella. Instead, a man stumbled in, soaked to the bone, wearing mud-splattered jeans and a faded sweatshirt with frayed cuffs. His beard was unkempt, his dark hair stuck to his forehead in wet strands. Jasmine shot Olivia a look before disappearing into the back room, leaving her to handle the situation. The man approached the counter, leaving puddles on the polished, hardwood floor. Up close, Olivia noticed his shoes, one's white trainers now gray and splitting at the seams. His eyes, however, were clear and observant, scanning the menu with interest. "Good morning," he said, his voice surprisingly gentle and articulate. "Could I get a cappuccino, and perhaps something to eat?" "I'm famished." Olivia's smile tightened. This sort of person didn't belong in Cliffside. What if Lady Pennington arrived to find him occupying a table? What would Camille Laurent, the owner, say about serving someone who looked like he'd spent the night under a bridge? "I'm sorry," she said, keeping her voice low but firm. "We're actually quite busy this morning. Perhaps there's a Costa coffee down the street that could accommodate you?" The man's eyebrows rose slightly. "Busy? There's no one here." "We have reservations," Olivia lied, glancing pointedly at his muddy shoes. "And we maintain certain standards for our establishment." Understanding dawned in the man's eyes, and something in Olivia's chest tightened uncomfortably. Yet she stood her ground, chin raised. "I see," he said after a moment. "And what standards might those be exactly?" "We cater to a specific clientele," she replied, the words sounding hollow even to her own ears. "I'm sure you understand." To her surprise, the man didn't argue. He simply nodded, a slight smile playing at his lips. "I understand perfectly. Mind if I just sit for a moment until the rain eases? I won't disturb anyone." Before Olivia could object, he moved to a corner table, the least visible one in the cafe, and sat down, leaving wet imprints on the velvet chair. She frowned, debating whether to insist he leave. When the front door swung open again, Camille Laurent strode in, elegant in a tailored navy suit despite the weather, her silver-streaked black hair immaculate. But the cafe owner rarely appeared before noon, making her morning presence unusual. More surprising was the way her face lit up when she spotted the bedraggled man in the corner. "Theo," she exclaimed, hurrying across the cafe. "You made it!" "I was worried you'd change your mind." The man Theo stood to embrace her, and Camille didn't seem to mind that his wet clothes dampened her expensive suit. They spoke in animated tones, Camille's French accent becoming more pronounced in her excitement. Olivia watched, frozen behind the counter, as her perfectly ordered world began to tilt on its axis. The revelation the cafe fell silent, save for the gentle patter of rain against the windows and the muffled conversation between Camille and the disheveled man. Olivia stood rigid behind the counter, her knuckles white as she gripped the edge. For support, Jasmine had reappeared and now stood beside her, eyes wide with curiosity. "Olivia," Camille called, beckoning her over with a graceful wave. "Come meet our new partner." Each step toward their table felt like walking through molasses. Up close, Olivia noticed details she'd missed before. The man's intelligent eyes, the expensive watch partially hidden beneath his frayed sleeve, the subtle confidence in his posture, despite his bedraggled appearance. "This is Theodore Grant," Camille said, her voice warm with affection. "Founder of Horizon Technologies and my oldest friend. Theo, this is Olivia, one of our newer baristas." Theodore Grant. The name registered like a physical blow. Everyone in London's business circles knew of him, the reclusive genius who had built a cybersecurity empire from nothing, whose company had recently gone public in what financial papers called the most anticipated IPO of the decade. "We've met," Theo said, extending his hand with a smile that revealed nothing of their earlier interaction. "Though I don't believe I made a favorable first impression." Camille laughed. "Oh, Theo, did you come straight from the shelter again?" "He volunteers at a homeless outreach program in East London," she explained to Olivia. "Refuses to change afterward because what was it you always say? Privilege shouldn't have a uniform," he replied, his eyes never leaving Olivia's face. "I find it revealing to move through the world without the armor of expensive clothes and status symbols." Olivia's hand trembled as she shook his, shame burning her cheeks. "It's an honor, Mr. Grant. I apologize for the misunderstanding earlier." "No misunderstanding," he said quietly. "You were perfectly clear about the cafe's standards." Camille glanced between them, picking up on the tension. "Is everything all right?" "Perfectly fine," Theo assured her. "Olivia was just explaining that the cafe might be too busy for me this morning. She suggested a Costa down the street might be more suitable for someone like me." The disappointment that flashed across Camille's face cut deeper than any reprimand. "I see," she said, her tone cooling. "Olivia, could I speak with you in my office?" "Jasmine can bring Theo his coffee, a cappuccino. Yes?" He nodded, settling back into his chair with the easy confidence of someone who belonged there far more than Olivia did, in the small office behind the kitchen. Camille didn't raise her voice. Somehow that made it worse. "When I hired you, Olivia, I believed you understood what Cliffside represents. It's not exclusivity or pretension, but excellence in our products and in how we treat every person who walks through that door." "I thought I was protecting the cafe's image," Olivia managed, her voice small. "By judging a man's worth by his clothes?" Camille shook her head. "Theo came to London with nothing 20 years ago. We slept on my couch while coding his first program. Now he owns half of this cafe, not because he needs the investment, but because he believes in what we're trying to build, a place where quality and kindness coexist." The reality of what she'd done settled heavily on Olivia's shoulders. She'd revealed the worst of herself to one of London's most influential businessmen. More than that, she'd betrayed the values Camille had trusted her to uphold. "I've made a terrible mistake," she whispered. "Yes," Camille agreed, but her expression softened. "The question is what you'll learn from it." Theo tests people. It's how he chooses who to trust in business and in life. He values authenticity over flattery, substance over style. "Are you firing me?" Olivia asked, her future suddenly precarious. Camille considered her for a long moment. "No, that would be too easy for both of us. Instead, you'll work directly with Theo on the community outreach program we're launching. He's proposing we open Cliffside on Monday evenings to serve free meals to those who need them." Her smile held a challenge. "Unless you feel people in. Worn clothes would compromise our standards." When they returned to the cafe, Theo was engaged in animated conversation with an elderly regular, both laughing like old friends. He glanced up as Olivia approached his table with a fresh cappuccino and a slice of lemon cake on the house. "Mr. Grant," she said, setting down the items with care. "I hope you'll accept this with my sincere apologies." He studied her face, searching for something beyond the rehearsed words. Apologies aren't measured by how perfectly they're delivered, but by the understanding behind them. He gestured to the chair across from him. "Tell me, Olivia, what did you see when I walked?" And today, the question hung between them, an invitation to honesty that terrified and tempted her in equal measure. The reflection: for 2 weeks after the incident, Olivia moved through her shifts like a ghost, though Theo hadn't returned to the cafe. His presence lingered in the changes taking shape. The new community board advertising Monday evening meals. The staff training on dignity-centered service. Subtle shift in Cliffside's atmosphere from exclusive to inclusive excellence. Camille had assigned Olivia to lead the Monday program planning, a punishment disguised as an opportunity. Each night, she returned to her shared flat in Brixton, exhausted, her mind replaying that morning's humiliation as she researched food insecurity and community engagement. "You look miserable," observed her flatmate, Daniel, a medical resident, who understood professional shame after his own mistakes. He found her surrounded by printouts and empty teacups at midnight. "Still beating yourself up over the tech billionaire?" "It's not about his money," Olivia said, rubbing her tired eyes. "It's that he saw right through me. I've been so focused on fitting into this world of wealth and refinement that I became exactly what I used to despise someone who judges others by their cover." Daniel sat beside her, examining a flyer she'd designed for the community meal program. "This looks good. Maybe making amends is better than wallowing." "I'm trying," she sighed. "But how do you apologize for revealing your worst self to someone? You show them your better self instead," he suggested. "Actions speak louder, right?" That night, Olivia couldn't sleep. She thought about her childhood in Manchester, her father's factory job loss, the months when fancy coffee would have been an unthinkable luxury. She'd worked so hard to distance herself from that precarious existence that she'd abandoned its most valuable lesson: compassion for those walking similar paths. By morning, she knew what she needed to do. The letter took 7 drafts. Not because she aimed for perfection, but because honesty proved harder than eloquence. Finally, she wrote, "Mr. Grant, this isn't an apology. You deserve more than words of regret. Instead, it's an explanation you never asked for but might help. You understand the person who judged you so harshly. I grew up in a household where financial security vanished overnight. My father lost his job, our home followed, and suddenly, we were the family others avoided eye contact with. I promised myself I'd never be that vulnerable again. At Cliffside, I thought I'd finally secured my place in a world where such precarity couldn't touch me. When you entered someone who seemed to represent everything, I feared returning to I responded with the cruelty of the terrified. The community program you've initiated has become my education. Each conversation with the organizations we're partnering with reminds me of what truly matters. The menus I'm planning remind me of the meals neighbors brought when we had nothing. I don't expect forgiveness or understanding. But I wanted you to know that your response to my unkindness, offering opportunity rather than rejection, has changed something fundamental in me. With sincere gratitude, Olivia Bonecci left the sealed envelope with Jasmine, who promised to deliver it to Camille for forwarding to Theo. Having surrendered her words to fate, Olivia threw herself into preparations for the first community dinner, now just a week away. The weekend before the launch, she volunteered at the same East London shelter where Theo helped. She served tea, sorted donations, and listened to stories from people whose paths had taken unexpected turns. A former accountant who'd lost everything to addiction. A young mother fleeing domestic violence. It's an elderly man whose pension couldn't cover both medication and rent. "First time volunteering?" asked Patricia, the shelter coordinator, as they sorted clothing donations. Olivia nodded, folding a child's sweater with care. "I'm helping launch a program at the cafe where I work. It's free meals on Monday evenings. Cliffside, right?" Theo mentioned it. Patricia smiled. "He's been excited about that project for months. I said he finally found the right partner to make. It happened." "Camille is amazing," Olivia agreed. "He wasn't talking about Camille," Patricia said, giving her a curious look. "He specifically mentioned a barista with an eye for detail and untapped potential. Said sometimes people just need the right challenge to show their true character." That night, Olivia returned to her flat with Patricia's words echoing in her mind. Had Theo seen something in her worth salvaging? The thought both comforted and unsettled her. She was arranging fresh flowers in her tiny cachona, small luxury she allowed herself when her phone chimed with an unfamiliar number. "Your letter found me? Coffee tomorrow? Not at Cliffside? Somewhere. New for both of us." Theo Olivia stared at the message, equal parts terrified and hopeful. After a long moment, she typed her reply, "Yes." The connection the cafe Theo had chosen couldn't have been more different from Cliffside. Tucked between a laundromat and a secondhand bookshop in Bethnal Green, Groundwork Coffee operated on a pay-what-you-can model. Its mismatched furniture and chipped mugs stood in stark contrast to Cliffside's polished elegance. Yet the coffee, Olivia had to admit, was exceptional. Theo was already seated when she arrived, dressed in a simple, gray sweater and jeans. Without the mud and soaking wet hair, he looked different, still casual, but put together in a way that suggested deliberate choice rather than necessity. "Their Ethiopian pour-over is remarkable," he said, by way of greeting, gesturing to the empty chair across from him. "The owner trained under the same master roaster I did in Guatemala." Olivia blinked in surprise as she sat down. "You're a trained barista?" "Among other things," he smiled. "Before technology, coffee was my passion. I still roast small batches. At home." A barista approached a young woman with vibrant blue hair and a sleeve of tattoos and greeted Theo with familiar warmth. "The usual for you and your friend?" "If that works for Olivia?" he questioned, raising an eyebrow. She nodded, was curious about his usual and even more curious about this side of London's most enigmatic tech leader as they waited for their drinks. An awkward silence settled between them. Olivia fidgeted with her napkin, unsure how to bridge the gap between her letter's raw honesty and this unexpected meeting. "I grew up in foster care," Theo said suddenly, startling her. 7 homes in 12 years. The last one was good an older couple who taught literature at university. They encouraged my interest in computers, but more importantly, they showed me that family isn't about blood or background. It's about who sees your value when you can't see it yourself. "Is that why you volunteer?" she asked, accepting the ceramic mug the barista placed before her. "Partly." He wrapped his hands around his own mug. "It's also a reality check. In my position, it's easy to get insulated from how most people live. When I'm serving meals or sorting donations, I'm just the Onot, Mr. Grant, not the CEO, not the success story, just someone helping because he can." Olivia took a sip of her coffee. Perfectly balanced mix of chocolate and berry notes, and considered his words. "I understand that better now. After volunteering this weekend, Patricia mentioned you were there. Said you have a gift for making people feel seen." She almost laughed. "It's ironic, considering how I failed to see you." "Did you, though?" His gaze was thoughtful. "You saw exactly what I presented, someone who didn't meet your expectations of belonging. Your reaction was honest, if not kind." "Honest isn't enough if it lacks compassion," she countered. He smiled, an approval in his expression that warmed her. "That's precisely why I wanted to meet today. Your letter showed reflection. Most people, when confronted with their prejudices, become defensive. You became introspective." They talked for hours, their coffee growing cold as conversation flowed from personal histories to favorite books. From business ethics to art, Olivia described her abandoned dreams of becoming a curator, how financial reality had redirected her path. Theo spoke of his early failures, the 3 startups that collapsed before Horizon found its footing. "Why invest in Cliffside?" she asked eventually. "You could put your money anywhere. Camille was the only person who believed in me when I was sleeping on park benches and coding in public libraries," he explained. "When my first company failed, my investors vanished. When the second tanked, my girlfriend left. When the third went under, most friends stopped returning my calls. But Camille kept making me dinner every Sunday, kept introducing me to potential clients, kept treating me like someone with value." Olivia nodded, understanding blooming. "So the cafe is about repaying her faith. It's about creating a space that reflects her values and mine," he corrected. "Excellence without exclusion, quality without qualification, worth based on character, not credentials." The Monday meal program, she realized. "It's been your plan all along, the beginning of one," he confirmed. "Cliffside has potential to be more than a luxury cafe. It could be a model for conscious capitalism, proving that businesses can maintain standards while expanding access." As afternoon faded into evening, Theo mentioned an exhibition at a small gallery nearby, photography documenting London's changing neighborhoods. "I'm heading there now if you'd like to join me," he offered casually. The gallery was intimate, just one room with stark white walls and carefully placed black and white photographs. They moved slowly from image to image, Olivia's art history, background emerging as she analyzed composition and context. Theo listened attentively, occasionally offering observations that revealed his own knowledge of photography. Standing before a particularly moving portrait of an elderly shopkeeper closing his family business after 50 years, Theo asked if you could curate any exhibition. What story would you tell? The question unlocked something in Olivia passion she'd kept carefully contained since abandoning her museum studies program. She described an exhibition contrasting public and private spaces, exploring how environment shapes identity and community. You should propose it, he said simply. To whom? I'm a barista with an incomplete degree. To the right person, he replied, which might be closer than you think. As they parted ways outside the gallery, the evening air crisp around them, Theo hesitated. The Monday program launches tomorrow. Will you be ready? As ready as I can be, she admitted. Nervous, but committed. Good, he nodded. Guys, I'll be there not as an investor or observer, but as part of your team, if that's acceptable. Olivia felt something shift between them, a balance adjusting. Roles rearranging, more than acceptable, she said. It would be an honor. His smile as they said goodbye contained something new, a warmth that followed Olivia all the way home, where she stayed up half the night finalizing details for a program that suddenly felt like the beginning of something much larger than herself. The transformation 6 months transformed Cliffside Cafe in ways Olivia could never have imagined. Monday evenings became the highlight of her week, the cafe filled with a diverse crowd sharing meals and conversation. What began as a simple, free dinner service evolved into a community hub offering job application workshops, financial literacy classes, and arts programming. The regular clientele changed too. While the parliament members and executives still came for their morning coffee, they now sat alongside students, artists, and local shopkeepers. Cliffside's reputation grew, not despite this integration, but because of it, a place where excellence and accessibility coexisted without compromise. And somewhere in those 6 months, between planning meetings and late-night conversations, between philosophical debates and shared dreams, Olivia and Theo's relationship transformed as well. You're staring at the display case like it holds the secrets of the universe, Theo observed one morning, arriving early to find Olivia rearranging pastries with unusual concentration. She straightened, flush warming her cheeks. I'm contemplating the existential significance of whether the almond croissant should go beside or above the pain au chocolate. Clearly a philosophical dilemma of the highest order, he teased, coming around the counter to stand beside her. In the months since their first meeting, such casual proximity had become comfortable, though each instance still sent a pleasant awareness through Olivia. Camille approved my proposal, she said, turning to face him. For the gallery space upstairs. We're converting it into a rotating exhibition area featuring local artists, with proceeds supporting the community programs. His face lit up. Olivia, that's brilliant. When do you start? That's the thing, she hesitated. She wants me to curate it full-time. She's offering to move me from barista to creative director for the entire Cliffside Arts Initiative, which you obviously accepted immediately, he prompted when she fell silent. I haven't given her an answer yet. Olivia busied herself with adjusting a stack of napkins. It's a significant change. More responsibility, more visibility. Theo gently turned her to face him. What are you really afraid of? The question pierced through her practiced concerns to the truth beneath. Failing publicly, she admitted. It's one thing to make coffee, Will. It's another to put my creative vision out for judgment. What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm still just pretending to belong in this world? Do you remember what you told that young artist last week? The one who was hesitating to display his work at our open mic night? She smiled slightly, remembering. That vulnerability is the price of authenticity. That creating in public requires courage, but without that risk, there's no possibility of connection. Wise words, Theo nodded. Perhaps their author should consider taking her own advice. Later that afternoon, Olivia gave Camille her answer, whispering, I've been waiting for you to find your place here since the day Theo saw something special in you. The exhibition planning consumed Olivia's spring. She worked closely with local artists, many from the same communities served by their Monday programs. Theo supported her vision while challenging her to think bigger, to create not just displays, but experiences that would bridge London's divided social worlds. On opening night, Cliffside's transformed upper floor buzzed with energy. Photographs documenting the city's housing crisis hung alongside portraits of community leaders and abstract pieces exploring belonging and displacement. Catering was provided by a culinary training program for formerly homeless individuals, initiative born from their Monday conversations. Quite the transformation, Camille remarked, finding Olivia and Theo in a quiet corner, observing the crowd, both the space and its curator. Olivia smiled, acknowledging the truth in her words. The nervous barista who had once judged a man by his appearance now moved confidently through a room she had curated, greeting artists and visitors with genuine warmth. I have something to show you both, Camille continued, leading them toward a previously empty wall. There hung a single photograph Olivia hadn't seen before, a black and white image of Cliffside on a Monday evening. Captured from across the street, through the windows, silhouettes of diverse people sharing tables were visible, while rain-slicked streets reflected the cafe's warm light. Beneath it, a simple plaque read, "The Measure of Worth," photographed by Theodore Grant, dedicated to Olivia Bennett, who learned to see. Olivia turned to Theo, questions in her eyes. Photography was my first love, before technology or even coffee, he explained quietly. I started taking pictures in foster care, a way to prove I existed, that I was somewhere real. Later, it became how I processed the world. It's beautiful, she whispered, studying the composition with new understanding. I've been documenting our Monday evenings since the beginning, he continued, watching something remarkable unfold, not just the program, but you. When Camille discreetly excused herself, leaving them alone before the photograph, Theo took Olivia's hand. 6 months ago, you asked what I saw when I walked into Cliffside that rainy morning. I saw someone afraid of losing her place in the world, something I understood intimately. I also saw potential beneath that fear. And now, she asked, her voice soft, what do you see now? A woman who no longer needs to guard her place because she's created something entirely her own, he answered. Someone who measures worth her own and others by what matters most. In the gallery filled with art exploring belonging and displacement, they found themselves exactly where they were meant to be, to people who had learned to see beyond surfaces to the true measure of worth. Later that evening, as they walked along the Thames, streetlights reflecting on the water like scattered stars, Theo stopped and turned to her. I have a confession, he said, his usual confidence giving way to vulnerability. That first day at Cliffside, I wasn't testing you, not deliberately. I truly had come straight from the shelter without thinking about my appearance. It was only after your reaction that I decided to let the misunderstanding continue. Olivia considered this revelation. Would you change it if you could go back? Not a moment, he said without hesitation. Some beginnings need to be uncomfortable to lead somewhere meaningful. She smiled, squeezing his hand. Like the best exhibitions, the ones that challenge before they inspire. Exactly like that, he agreed, and as the city lights illuminated their path forward, both understood that their story, like the cafe they had transformed together, was just beginning.